Everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering 2nd Enoch chapters 1 through 22.
That's a lot of chapters.
You know, it is a lot of chapters, but some of them are only a verse.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm sure, as you can see as you're flipping through that, some of them are really, really short. In fact, all of them are very short. But some of them are even shorter than short.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not kidding.
No, I'm not. So the section that we are covering today is going to be a journey through the 10 heavens.
Wow.
Yeah. I did see some, it might be 7. I did see some papers talking about 7, others talking about 10. So I'm not 100% certain here, but I guess we will see. What I'm thinking this has to do with is the fact that there is a longer version and a shorter version. Right? Yeah. So, and the thing is, it doesn't exist as one anywhere.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Do we have the longer version or the shorter version?
So that one, I believe, is the longer version.
Whoa.
I think. And this one actually has both.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's handy.
Yeah, isn't it? So you have these differing textual traditions, and it's kind of hard to tell where something would have come from because there's, in comparison to other biblical and even pseudepigraphal texts, there is way less manuscript evidence. And it only exists in Slavonic. So I am going to talk a little bit about all this. But first of all, what book do you have?
Well, I have the Book of the Secrets of Enoch, contained within the Books of Enoch, complete edition, by someone whose name isn't on the cover.
I think that one might be from R.H. Charles.
Paul C. Schneiders.
Oh, but it's translated. If you look at the bottom.
Oh, translated by R.H. Charles.
Yeah, so R.H. Charles, I believe it was in the late 1880s. So, you know, or 1890s maybe. So he was foundational to some of this work. And a lot of his ideas on not only Enoch, but also a book like Revelation have been overturned a lot. So he was easily a product of his time. So during his time, that's when you had like the dawn and the strength of the documentary hypothesis, for example. So R.H. Charles, he took that same reasoning and applied it to Revelation, but because of the amount, because we have more manuscript evidence for Revelation, writing styles themselves changed by over the course of hundreds of years. So he was misapplying it, honestly. So his ideas necessarily were overturned in relation to that.
Okay, so there's an introduction in here
about all the books, I think, right?
About all the books. It mentions that 2 versions were called Books of Enoch. An Ethiopic one, translated from Ethiopic,
and
called
that's
First Enoch,
Yep.
By scholars, and a Slavonic version identified as Second Enoch, which is also known as the Book of the Secrets of Enoch. The discovery of the text from the Qumran Cave 4 has finally provided parts of the Aramaic original for the Ethiopic version of the Book of Enoch. It was copied around the 200 150 BC.
Yeah.
But this one is preserved solely in the Slavonic language. The version was rediscovered and printed in the 19th century. It has survived in about 20 manuscripts and fragments in Slavonic, copied from the 14th to the 18th century.
Yeah, so
these are much more modern.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, there's a list in here of all of them, of all the manuscripts. And of course their naming conventions are, you just have a bunch of letters, and it's usually based on perhaps a certain scholar or where the manuscript is kept, for example. So, like some of them, there's like the Library of the Academy of Sciences of the USSR in Leningrad. There's the State Historical Museum in Moscow, Institute of History and Philology, the National Library in Belgrade. There are a good amount of them, but they are listed here in James H. Charlesworth's The Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1. But they are listed in here.
And there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
I mean, not a whole
not a lot, but yeah. So the manuscripts differ wildly in date and provenance. They are also quite diverse in scope and in individual readings. Not one of them is simply a text of 2nd Enoch itself. In every case, the Enoch material is either part of a larger work or part of a collection of various pieces. Only a few of them have the text in any degree of completeness. Most of them supply only brief extracts incorporated into different miscellanies, usually with drastic abbreviation or extensive reorganization. So, as I was talking about before, there are longer recensions and shorter ones. Now, throughout the years, there's been a lot of debate over which traditions hold more original readings. Some scholars, here I'm going to read this out here. So, the extensive and substantial differences between manuscripts of the longer recension and manuscripts of the shorter recension constitute the major textual problem. The difference in length is due to two quite different features. There are blocks of text found only in the longer manuscripts, but even when the passages are parallel, the longer manuscripts tend to be more ample. At the same time, there is so much verbal similarity when the passages correspond that a common source must be supposed. That is, we have recensions, not different versions. Furthermore, the very short manuscripts differ from the short ones in the same manner. Quite contradictory explanations have been offered for these facts. Earlier investigators, notably Sokolov and R.H. Charles, accepted the longer texts as nearest to the original and explained the shorter ones as a result of condensation. Schmidt, Valent, and Mashersky, in contrast, concluded that the longer texts were the result of expansion and heavy interpolation. The extra material, therefore, tended to be discarded as probably inauthentic. These scholars, however, differ quite extensively in their arguments and in their conclusions about the production of the book through its various stages. All of the material calls for reassessment. At the very least, we should remain open to the possibility that some of the passages found in manuscripts of the longer recension could preserve ancient traditions, some of which might be original. Abbreviation as well as expansion has almost certainly taken place. In the present state of our knowledge, the genuineness of any disputed passage is difficult to judge. And most scholars on the text of the work, most scholars are on the language of it, I should say. Most scholars think that it was a Greek original. However, the text abounds in Semitisms, but several explanations of this are possible. It is theoretically possible that the book, or at least parts of it, came directly from Hebrew into Slavonic. This is what Mashersky has argued for the shorter recension, which he takes to be the original work. But it is more likely that the Semitisms are due to Hebrew or Aramaic sources behind the Greek version, or at least due to the cultivation of a biblical style in the Greek original. And of course, that's not new. Even in the New Testament, there are Hebraisms, but we know that the New Testament was written in Greek. It is more credible that 2nd Enoch stands in another stream of Enoch traditions. I actually skipped a whole section there. Now that it is known that parts of 1st Enoch existed in Aramaic in pre-Christian times, it is more credible that 2nd Enoch stands in another stream of Christian traditions stemming from similar sources, and perhaps even of comparable antiquity. An original Semitic composition can still be suspected, but after 2 stages of translation through Greek to Slavonic, it is not now possible to tell how much written material in a Semitic language might lie behind those portions of the text which we still have Semitisms. let alone to determine which Semitic language it may have been. So for the date, this also ranges. This can go from the 1st century to like the 9th century. So while some people think, this was a very early work, just after, the time of, just after the time first Enoch was written, or even like, so like directly after it, or it was a Christian thing written much later. So there are quite a few possibilities for that, and there is no. I'm not going to say that there's not really a consensus, but most scholars do tend to lead toward the 1st century.
As for the number of heavens, 3rd Enoch, the Hebrew book of Enoch,
okay,
by Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha, the high priest,
which we are not reading today.
No, we're not. 3rd Enoch lists 7 heavens. So,
I guess we'll see what this one says.
Yeah, I guess we will. So, anything else you want to read from that before we get into 2nd Enoch?
Yeah, just a couple things on some of the on like the translations, how we're going to be reading this, because this one does have this one, since it has a longer and shorter version, I should kind of expand on that. So Sokolov attached a Latin translation to his 1899 edition of manuscript R, and of course we can always go back and see which one that is. W.R. Morfill supplied the English translation from an eclectic text used in Charles' 1896 book. Forbes revised this for the Apocrypha and Pseudepigrapha of the Old Testament, separating the longer recensions, Charles A. from P, and the shorter Charles B. from N, and displaying them synoptically. Unfortunately, the manuscripts used were the worst representatives of the 2 recensions. Yeah, right.
Oof.
So throughout this translation, we will be talking about, there's quite a bit of commentary here, actually. So throughout these, I can read from a longer version or a shorter version. I think. Okay, so hold on. So it looks like, so A, there's going to be A, which is the shorter version, and J, which is the longer version, throughout this book specifically. So there are differences in these texts, obviously, because one's longer and one's shorter. Kind of close to how Esther went. Yeah.
But you do have them both in front of you, so.
I do, yeah. So not sure how we want to do this, but I guess we'll see which one follows. I mean, I'm going to read from both occasionally.
Yeah.
But some of the chapters are incredibly short.
Yeah. So why don't I get started with chapter 1? Because
I don't know.
Neither do I. Let's ponder this.
Yeah, we can get started with chapter 1. Why don't we?
I'm still trying to figure out why I'm not. Chapter 1. There was a wise man, a great artificer, and the Lord conceived love for him and received him, that he should behold the uppermost dwellings and be an eyewitness of the wise and great and inconceivable and immutable realm of God Almighty, of the very wonderful and glorious and bright and many-eyed station of the Lord's servants, and of the inaccessible throne of the Lord, and of the degrees and manifestations of the incorporeal hosts, and of the ineffable ministration of the multitude of the elements, and of the various apparition and inexpressible singing of the hosts of cherubim, and of the boundless light. Wow, what a run-on sentence.
Yeah, there is a lot there. So first of all, the main difference between that version, which is the shorter version, by the way. Is that the shorter one?
That was verse 1.
Yeah. That was, okay, so that was verse 1. So A is the shorter. So that was, it looks like, so he has the longer version.
Okay.
It is what it is closer to, at least. But I guess we'll find out shortly. So sometimes there's a title attached to this. So even before there was a wise man and a great artisan and all that stuff, even before that, it says the story of Enoch, how the Lord took him to heaven. So the titles in the manuscripts show a great variety. So he's listing a bunch of manuscripts, and he says like U is the same as A. JPR have a preface of similar form and scope, but with many differences. Rum, has essentially, and remember, these are all abbreviations for the manuscripts that have been using. Has essentially the same text as theirs through verse 2 of the preface. P and P2 begin the book about the secrets of Enoch, the son of Ared. Yeah.
All right.
So there's quite a lot of differences between the manuscripts.
All right. At that time, he said, when my 165th year was completed, I begat my son Methuselah. After this, too, I lived 200 years and completed all the years of my life, 365 years. On the first day of the month, I was in my house alone and was resting on my bed and slept. And when I was asleep...
By the way, the shorter version doesn't have some of the years listed.
Okay. And when I was asleep, great distress came up into my heart, and I was weeping with my eyes in sleep, and I could not understand what this distress was or what would happen to me. And there appeared to me 2 men, exceeding big, so that I never saw such on earth. Their faces were shining like the sun. Their eyes, too, were like a burning light, and from their lips was fire coming forth, with clothing and singing of various kinds, and appearance purple. Their wings were brighter than gold, their hands whiter than snow. They were standing at the head of my bed, and began to call me by my name. And I arose from my sleep, and saw clearly those 2 men standing in front of me. And I saluted them, and was seized with fear, and the appearance of my face was changed from terror. And those men said to me, have courage, Enoch, do not fear. The eternal God sent us to you, and lo, you shall today ascend with us into heaven, and you shall tell your sons and all your household all that they shall do without you on earth in your house, and let no one seek you till the Lord return you to them.
Yes, before we continue on here, so of course these are we were just describing angels.
Yes.
Right? So there's quite a good bit of commentary here on that. So the appearance of figures of gigantic size is a common motif in apocalypses of the early period. Compare 4th Ezra and the Gospel of Eve. In the Gospel of Peter, the two young men who appeared at the tomb of Jesus. The tomb of Jesus were tall. Their heads reached into heaven, and the risen Lord was even taller. Note the fluctuation between man and angel in Zechariah 1. We are to suppose angels in human form taken for the occasion. Their names are given rather casually in 33:6. Even so, their dimensions and the following description show that this was not a disguise. In fact, human form need not be implied, and man might mean simply person. The coming of angels in pairs is an ancient tradition going back to the 2 messengers who conventionally accompany a god on a journey in Canaanite mythology. Hence, the 2 men who accompany the Lord on his visit to Abraham. Compare the 2 men at the empty tomb. And then he lists Acts and Maccabees. And then remember with Heliodorus, the 2 angels showed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
All right. And yeah,
and
tons of stuff.
And by the way, the descriptions.
Lot.
Yeah. By the way, the descriptions that we had before, the word that's used to describe it is incorrigibly corrupt.
Oh.
And he's listing off the words that are used in the different manuscripts to describe all of it, and they're almost all different.
Mm.
There's rarely any continuity between them. Like they're just like a little bit different, just like in spelling, but still though that could change a lot.
All right. And I made haste to obey them, and went out from my house, and made to the doors, and it was ordered me, and summoned my, as it was ordered me, and summoned my sons Methuselah, and Regem, and Gaidad, and made known to them all the marvels those men had told me.
Yeah, and the names there are a little bit different too from the short version than the long one.
Mm-hmm. Now we're in chapter 2. Listen to me, my children. I know not whither I go, or what will befall me. Now, therefore, my children, I tell you, turn not from God before the face of the vain, who made not heaven and earth, for these shall perish, and those who worship them, and may the Lord make confident your hearts in the fear of him. And now, my children, let no one think to seek me until the Lord return me to you. And now we're in chapter 3.
Yeah, so obviously... Wait, hold on. Hold on. That seemed incredibly short. Let me see your chapter 2 for a second. Sorry, that seemed like a... Oh, wow. This is very, very different. There's a whole ass section in here that's just... Look at that. Look at that. There's a whole section in here that's just missing. That is incredible. So I'm going to read this off here. So yeah, listen, my children. I do not know where I'm going, nor what will confront me. Now, my children, I say to you, do not turn away from God, walk before his face, and keep his commandments. Do not abhor the prayers of your salvation, so that the Lord will not curtail the work of your hands. And do not be ungenerous with the Lord's gifts, and the Lord will not be ungenerous with his donations and love gifts in your storehouses. And bless the Lord with the firstborn of your herds and the firstborn of your children, and a blessing will be on you forever. And do not turn away from the Lord, and do not worship vain gods, gods who did not create the heaven and the earth, or any other created thing, for they will perish, and so will those who worship them. That is a whole section that's just not in there.
It's very close to what's said here.
This one's way more expanded.
Yeah, way more expanded, but very close.
There are certainly some similar ideas, right?
Mm.
So that's crazy, man.
Now we're in chapter 3, which is even shorter. It came to pass when Enoch had told his sons that the angels took him on to their wings and bore him up onto the first heaven and placed him on the clouds. And there I looked, and again I looked higher and saw the ether. And they placed me on the first heaven and showed me a very great sea, greater than the earthly sea.
Yeah, this one just says not the ether. It says and there I perceived the air higher up. Oh wait, hold on. It does say ether. Never mind.
Ah.
All right, interesting.
And now we're in chapter 4.
Yeah, really, really short chapters. We're just zooming through these.
Yeah. They brought before my face the elders and rulers of the stellar orders, and showed me 200 angels who rule the stars and their services to the heavens, and fly with their wings, and come round all those who sail.
Hold on. So they led before my face the elders, the rulers of the stellar orders, and they showed me the 200 angels who govern the stars and the heavenly combinations.
So, constellations.
I suppose, yeah.
Chapter 5.
Yeah, and they fly with their wings and do the rounds of all the planets.
All right, chapter 5. And here I looked down and saw the treasure houses of the snow, and the angels who keep their terrible storehouses, and the clouds whence they come out and into which they go. Chapter 6.
Hold on. Did you have a thing about olive oil?
No.
Yeah, and they showed me the treasures of the dew like olive oil, and the appearance of its...
This is in chapter 6.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. They showed me the treasure house of the dew, like oil of the olive.
Gotcha, okay.
And the appearance of its form as of all the flowers of the earth. Further, many angels guarding the treasure houses of these things, and how they are made to shut and open. And I'll let you read chapter 7.
Chapter 7,
I'm
okay.
gonna hop to the restroom.
Oh, are you? All right, then. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. There are some differences. What?
They're 2-sentence chapters.
Yeah, I know. There are some differences here with the shorter version, obviously. So for chapter 6, it says, and they showed me the treasuries of the dew like olive oil. Angels were guarding their treasures, and their appearance was like every earthly flower. Yeah, and then the expansion there is of course what he just finished reading. So yeah, quite different for these. And like I said, it's unclear whether something was added or taken away. But let's continue. So chapter 7, I believe. And of course, there are titles in this one. Like every single chapter has a title. So this is for chapter 7, about how Enoch was taken to the second heaven. And those men picked me up and brought me up to the second heaven, and they showed me, and I saw a darkness greater than earthly darkness, and there I perceived prisoners under guard, hanging up, waiting for the measureless judgment. And those angels have the appearance of darkness itself, more than earthly darkness, and unceasingly they made weeping all the day long. So this does continue on here, but it's very interesting. These look like kind of scary angels. These dark ones, these dark angels. The appearance of darkness itself. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Okay, good. I'm glad you answered me there.
I'm here.
Yeah. So I might hop back to that after, whenever Ruben gets back. And I said to the men who were with me, why are these ones being tormented unceasingly? Those men answered me, these are those who turned away from the Lord, who did not obey the Lord's commandments, but of their own will plotted together and turned away with their prince and with those who are under restraint in the fifth heaven, which I assume we will get to. And I felt very sorry for them. And those angels bowed down to me and said to me, man of God, pray for us to the Lord. And I answered them and said, who am I, a mortal man, that I should pray for angels? Who knows where I am going and what will confront me, or who indeed will pray for me? So that's a very good question. Why would Enoch be asked to pray for these angels? Perhaps we will find out shortly in chapter 8.
We're there?
Yeah, we're in chapter 8. I know that one took forever, right?
Jeez. We'll never get this reading done.
All right, so yeah, I'll definitely hop back to that eventually. So, chapter 8, about the taking of Enoch to the third heaven. And those men took me from there, and they brought me up to the third heaven. So we didn't get an answer?
Nope.
I don't think. Yeah, we didn't get an answer to
No
that
answer.
question. That was a good question too, Enoch. Interesting that you did not. Interesting that no one felt the need to answer that. And it looks like it's the same issue in the other version as well. No answer. Yeah, and they brought me up to the third heaven and set me down there. Then I looked downward, and I saw paradise, and that place is inconceivably pleasant. And I saw the trees in full flower, and their fruits were ripe and pleasant smelling, with every food in yield and giving off profusely a pleasant fragrance. And in the midst of them was the tree of life, at that place where the Lord takes a rest when he goes into paradise. And that tree is indescribable for pleasantness and fine fragrance, and more beautiful than any other. And so I'm gonna read a bit more from this chapter, but then I'm gonna read from the shorter version as well, because it is different actually. Not that I'm surprised. Than any other created thing that exists. And from every direction it has an appearance which is gold-looking and crimson, and with the form of fire, and it covers the whole of paradise, and it has something of every orchid tree and every fruit. And its root is in paradise at the exit that leads to the earth. And paradise is in between the corruptible and the incorruptible. And and here's where it changes. So that entire section about like that describe paradise and the trees, that's not even included in the short version.
Oh.
Yeah. And paradise is in between the corruptible and the incorruptible. And two streams come forth, one a source of honey and milk, and a source which produces oil and wine. And it is divided into 4 parts, and they go around with a quiet movement, and they come out into the paradise of. So it says Edom, but I am almost positive that we're talking about Eden.
And we've had Edom be where Eden was.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Edom would be a different thing. This has a different spelling.
Yep.
Maybe it's just a typo. I don't know. Between the corruptible and the incorruptible. And from there, they pass along and divide into 40 parts. And it proceeds in descent along the earth, and they have a revolution in their cycle, just like the other atmospheric elements. And there is no unfruitful tree there, and every tree is well fruited, and every place is blessed. And there are 300 angels, very bright, who look after paradise, and with never ceasing voice and pleasant singing they worship the Lord every day and hour. And I said, how very pleasant is this place?
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, right. So lot of angels constantly worshiping, and it looks like the second heaven was more like hell, and now this one is where paradise is. So the first one is actually just like the sky, it looks like. And
The second one's like Gehenna or something.
so closer to that, right? And then this third one's paradise, apparently.
The Valley
So-
of Ben Hinnom, all those fun things.
Which is Gehenna, yeah. So, and those men said to me, and it stops right here, the chapter. So now we're in chapter 9. Yeah, I know. There's not.
Fun.
I know there's not really much
Having a blast.
much time in between these. The revelation. So this is really weird, especially since there is like an introductory verse in some of these manuscripts. But so I'm just going to read the introductory verse and then continue on. The revelation to Enoch of the place of those who are righteous and kind. And those men said to me, this place, Enoch, has been prepared for righteousness. Has been prepared for the righteous, who suffer every kind of calamity in their life, and who afflict their souls, and who avert their eyes from injustice, and who carry out righteous judgment, and who give bread to the hungry, and who cover up the naked with clothing, and who lift up the fallen. So all the people who have been wronged but remain good, it looks like. And who lift up the fallen, and who help the injured and the orphans, and who walk without a defect before the face of the Lord, and who worship him only. Even for them, this place has been prepared as an eternal inheritance. So even these lowly people that have been, persecuted, but they remain great, this place is for them.
So this is where...
This is paradise. This is Eden.
Right, but this is where, who would you think would go? What's his name? Job.
Job.
Job's
Yep,
probably
perhaps.
chilling around here.
Yeah, that's exactly where Job is. Hello, look who has returned from his ascension.
Yeah. I was hanging out with Job.
Yeah, of course, hanging out with Job. That is
Paradise.
Yeah, in paradise.
You're going to start a new series now called Job in Paradise?
Yeah, I work at McDonald's in Eden. It's okay.
Way better.
They were a little hesitant to bring a chain like McDonald's into paradise, but let me tell you, it made everything a lot better.
It doesn't it though. So now we are into chapter 10. Here they showed Enoch the frightful place and various tortures. Perfect. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. And those men carried me to the northern region, and they showed me there a very frightful place. So this northern region, so the Essenes believed that paradise was in the north. The reading in JP&R has the same ambivalence as the Hebrew, the Hebrew boundary or region. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so in modern Russian, this has become differentiated into strana, which it means country or means land, area. And then storona, which means side. Yeah, that is an accurate translation.
Yeah. Here it says the northern side.
Yeah. That is an accurate translation from the Russian. And all kinds of torture and torment are in that place. Cruel darkness and lightless gloom. Aren't you just loving this?
Nice.
And there is no light there, and a black fire blazes up perpetually with a river of fire that comes out over the whole place. Fire here, freezing ice there, and it dries up, and it freezes.
It's that river of fire did appear in the first book of Enoch, didn't it? Yeah.
I think it did, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't described as black fire.
Right. We got black fire. That's pretty cool.
This is metal as fuck.
Right.
Man.
Okay. So the river of fire is first. So it's first met in Daniel 7:10. The imagery of a volcano is present as the lake of fire. Yes, we have Revelation. We have First Enoch. It's still like Daniel. While in Second Enoch, the fiery stream is not yet the place. And means of punishment as in Revelation. We can compare the Sibylline oracles, the Apocalypse of Peter. I can't wait until we actually get to the Apocalypse of Peter. That's going to be so cool. Philip prays before his martyrdom to be delivered from the waters of fire, but this could come from Revelation. In First Enoch 14:3, the house of God is, quote, hot as fire and cold as ice. Is that song in anyone's head right now?
It's as cold
as ice, willing to sacrifice our love.
Get your paw off of me, boy.
Are you willing to sacrifice our love, Ruben?
Yeah, I'll sacrifice it on the mount.
Oh, shit. In Second Enoch, God is compared to blazing fire. The idea that the soul is a cold element is found in Aristotle. Origen, struggling to establish the meaning of the word soul by etymology, speculates that a fall from virtue is a cooling of ardor of God. So cold is the natural state of evil things. Man, some people, man. So it's very interesting that we have This is some pretty cool imagery.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, this is pretty badass. So
Also, there's no light, but there is fire. But the fire doesn't give off light,
right,
because the fire is black.
yeah,
It's just burning darkness, but it's not burning. It's cold.
you figure it out.
This isn't a very fire-like fire.
Hey, it's like fire, but not at all.
So yeah, fire here, freezing ice there, and it dries up and it freezes. And very cruel places of detention, and dark and merciless angels carrying instruments of atrocities, torturing without pity.
Wow.
And I said, whoa.
Yeah, I would say whoa, too.
Of course, this is the different kind of woe, but still.
Yeah.
How very frightful is this place? And those men said to me, this place, Enoch, has been prepared for those who do not glorify God, who practice on the earth the sin which is against nature, which is child corruption. Oh my God, hold on.
Child corruption after
This is, hold on. I read ahead. This is not looking so good right now. Which is child corruption in the anus in the manner of Sodom.
Well, this one just says child corruption after the sodomitic fashion.
Oh. Oh, wow. That was the first sin.
Great.
Yeah. Then we have of witchcraft, enchantments, divinations, trafficking with demons who boast about their evil deeds, stealing, lying, insulting, coveting, resentment, fornication, and murder, and who steal the souls of men secretly, seizing the poor by the throat, taking away their possessions, enriching themselves from the possessions of others, defrauding them, who, when they are able to provide sustenance, bring about the death of the hungry by starvation, and when they are able to provide clothing, take away the last garment of the naked, who do not acknowledge their Creator, but bow down to idols, which have no souls, which can neither see nor hear, vain gods, constructing images, and bowing down to the vile things made by hands. For all these, this place has been prepared as an eternal reward.
Wow. You know, all these people go to heaven.
Well, I mean, technically, yes, this is in one of the heavens, right?
Yeah.
But it is like more like hell than.
It's like, what is this, the third heaven?
It looks like it. Yeah, I don't think we transitioned.
No?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the third heaven.
Wow, what a great heaven.
Yes, right.
With such great people.
This is pretty intense, dude.
Yeah. Well,
They're separated from the good ones, right?
they
I'm guessing.
They don't have hell. They just have other heavens.
And let's point this out. This is in like a different part of the third heaven. So you have, because he was brought to the northern region to see all these things. So I guess the good part of heaven is the southern region.
You don't want to go to the north side.
Oh, that north side of heaven.
It's the baddest
Player
part of
north side.
town.
Yeah.
Worst thing.
So now we are on chapter 11.
You want me to take over?
You can.
All right, chapter 11. Those men took me and led me up on to the fourth heaven and showed me all the successive goings and all the rays of the light of sun and moon. And I measured their goings and compared their lights and saw that the sun's light is greater than the moon's.
Wow.
What a revelation. Its circle and the wheels on which it goes always like the wind going past with very marvelous speed, and day and night it has no rest. The sun has wheels again.
Yep. Someone stapled those on.
Great.
Well,
It's-
okay, so the picture seems to be that of a circuit around which the sun and the moon drive their chariots, that both heavenly bodies are in mind is shown by, quote, each of the two of them, which follows.
Much like the astronomical book in First Enoch.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Its passage and return are accompanied by 4 great stars, and each star has under it 1,000 stars to the right of the sun's wheel, and by 4 to the left, each having under it 1,000 stars, altogether 8,000, issuing with the sun continually. And by day, 15 myriads of angels attend it, and by night, 1,000. And 6 winged ones with the angels before the sun's wheel. Okay, it says, and 6 winged ones, so seraphim, issue with the angels before the sun's wheel into fiery flames. And 100 angels kindle the sun and set it alight.
Okay, so I guess the translation here is a little bit different. And 100 angels go in front of the sun's chariot, 6-winged, in flaming fire, and the sun blazes up and sets the 100 angels on fire.
Oh, that's the opposite. Here, the angels set the sun on fire.
Okay, so you can keep reading, but I'm going to look for any kind of commentary on that.
All right, we're in chapter...
There isn't actually.
Oh. We're in chapter 12 now. And I looked and saw other flying elements of the sun, whose names are phoenixes and chalkidry. What's a chalkidry?
Chalkidras? What is that? Okay, so looking at the versions here, these are brass serpents. They are associated with cherubim in 1 Enoch 27. Compare 2 Enoch 19. In the description which follows, phoenixes and chalkidras seem to be the same. And for a reading list, if you're curious, I did do a video called Should Atheists Study the Bible? And I do give a short reading list there, but I do want to get a longer one together.
Yes, you do. You do have that.
Yeah.
And you do have chalkidry.
Mm-hmm.
Marvelous and wonderful, with feet and tails in the form of a lion and a crocodile's head. Their appearance is empurpled like the rainbow. Their size is 900 measures. Their wings are like those of angels. Each has 12. And they attend and accompany the sun, bearing heat and dew, as it is ordered them from God.
Yeah, so the size, it's...
Thus...
Okay.
The sun revolves and goes and rises under the heaven, and its course goes under the earth with the light of its rays incessantly.
So, yeah, for the size of these things, so it's not actually defined, the actual size.
They're just measures.
Yeah, so the value of the measure, meta, is not defined. In translation literature, it is either metron or batos, volume, or epha and bath in Old Testament texts, both volume. The most obvious unit is the cubit. So, yeah.
So they're big.
They are big. They are quite big.
They have
900 of those?
crocodile heads.
Yeah.
Sounds Egyptian as fuck.
It does sound pretty Egyptian.
Chapter 13. Those men bore me away to the east and placed me at the sun's gates, where the sun goes forth according to the regulation of the seasons in the circuit of the months of the whole year and the number of the hours, day and night. And I saw 6 gates open, each gate having 61 stadia and a quarter of 1 stadium. And I measured them truly and understood their size to be so much, through which the sun goes forth and goes to the west and is made even and rises throughout all the months and turns back again from the 6 gates according to the succession of the seasons. Thus the period of the whole year is finished after the returns of the 4 seasons.
So, this text actually does include how long it takes in each gate. So, and the first gate, he comes out for 42 days, the second 35, the third 35, the fourth 35, the fifth 35, and the sixth 42.
That is astronomical book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of these gates that the sun's coming from. Yep.
Yeah. So it's consistent as far as I know.
Yeah. We'd have to look back and check on the actual times of those.
I can scroll back.
Yeah, you can go back to the...
That's a lot of work. I'm
Yeah.
not going to look through First Enoch's astronomical
Yeah, and
book.
I think I have the books of Enoch at my place.
Though it is different here. Also, the Book of Enoch is in here.
No, I mean like the commentary, with like sections.
Yeah. It is different in here insofar as the sun goes under the earth. Mm-hmm. Right? Whereas...
Well, no, the sun did go under the earth in First Enoch.
Oh, in the astronomical book, it just goes through the gates and goes...
Yeah, but it went under them to get to the other gate.
Did it?
I think so.
I thought that it just like went through and then...
No, it went down. It went into one gate, and then it went under the earth and went through the other gate. I think so.
We'll have to look into
like
it.
that. I remember what you're talking about.
We'll have to look into it. Chapter 14.
Oh, no.
And again, those men led me away to the western parts and showed me 6 great gates, open corresponding to the eastern gates, opposite... Okay. So first he goes to the east where there's the gates, and then he goes to the west.
Yeah.
So 6 great gates open corresponding to the eastern gates, opposite to where the sun sets, according to the number of the days, 365 and a quarter. See, they include the leap year.
They include the leap year.
Well done.
Thus, again, it goes down to the western gates and draws away its light, the greatness of its brightness, under the earth. For since the crown of its shining is in heaven with the Lord, and guarded by 400 angels, while the sun goes round on wheel under the earth, and stands 7 great hours in night, and spends half its course under the earth, when it comes to the eastern approach in the 8th hour of the night, it brings its lights and the crown of shining, and the sun flames forth more than fire. So there's nighttime. It exists. That is what is said there.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Night's real.
Astounding.
None of those fake nights.
How would you even know that night exists if it weren't for Second Enoch?
Right. Thanks for stopping by. Whatever your name is again, I forgot.
It's Zariakob.
Yeah, King Zariakob. That's right.
Yep. Chapter 15. Then the elements of the sun, called phoenixes and chakdri, break into song. Therefore every bird flutters with its wings, rejoicing at the giver of light, and they broke into song at the command of the Lord. The giver of light comes to give brightness to the whole world, and the morning guard takes shape, which is the rays of the sun, and the sun of the earth goes out and receives its brightness to light up the whole face of the earth, and they showed me this calculation of the sun's going. And the gates which it enters, these are the great gates of the calculation of the hours of the year. For this reason, the sun is a great creation, whose circuit lasts 28 years and begins again from the beginning.
So this chapter, in the shorter version, is almost non-existent. In fact, there is a singular verse in the shorter version. So from all the stuff that you just read, the only verse that's in the shorter version is, and they showed me this augmentation of the sun and the gates by which he goes in and goes out. For these gates the Lord created to be an annual, was it horloge? Horlog? I'd never even seen that word before.
Horlog,
I guess. So yeah, that was that's that one. That's the whole chapter in the shorter version, by the way.
You know what? I'm going to look up that word.
Please do.
Because I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, me neither.
Never heard of it.
And
Horology, the study and measurement of time.
annual horology. Gotcha. Okay.
Well, it's horologe is an archaic noun, and it's pronounced horologe.
Horologe.
It means a timepiece.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Learning new things here every day. New
how do you
words that are
spell that?
almost never used.
horology, because hour, H-O-U-R, H-O-U-R, it's not H-O-U-R.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man.
All right. So we can hop into
Chapter
chapter
16.
Yeah.
Those men showed me the other course, that of the moon. 12 great gates crowned from east to west, by which the moon goes in and out of the customary times. It goes in at the first gate to the western places of the sun, by the first gates with 31 days exactly, by the second gates with 31 days exactly, by the third with 30 days exactly, by the fourth with 30 days exactly, by the fifth with 31 days exactly, by the sixth with 31 days exactly, by the seventh with 30 days exactly, by the eighth with 31 days perfectly, by the ninth with 31 days exactly, by the 10th with 30 days perfectly, by the 11th with 31 days exactly, by the 12th with 28 days exactly. And it goes through the western gates in the order and number of the eastern, and accomplishes the 365 and a quarter days of the solar year, while the lunar year has 354, and there are wanting to it 12 days of the solar cycle, which are the lunar epochs of the whole year.
Yeah. So before you go on, so the list that we had before, it is different in quite a few different manuscripts. Not only some of the numbers that are different for each, for each gate, I guess, but the totals as well. So some of them, they're incomplete, so we don't have the total. But like some of the totals are 373. There's 363, 364. Yeah. So those seem to be at least from the complete ones, those seem to be the.
Yeah.
You got it.
There's one thing that I've learned while reading this so far.
What?
It's that the author of Second Enoch was probably at least familiar with the fact that the astronomical book was in First Enoch.
Oh, absolutely.
Thus, too, the Great Circle contains 532 years. The quarter of a day is omitted for 3 years. The fourth fulfills it exactly. Therefore, they are taken outside of heaven for 3 years and are not added to the number of days, because they change the time of the years to 2 new months toward completion, to 2 others towards diminution. And when the western gates are finished, it returns and goes to the eastern to the lights, and goes thus day and night about the heavenly circles, lower than all circles, swifter than the heavenly winds, and spirits and elements and angels flying. Each angel has 6 wings. That was kind of word salady. It has 7-fold course in 19 years. Now we're in chapter 17. In the midst of the heavens, I saw armed soldiers serving the Lord, with tympana and organs, with incessant voice, with sweet voice, with sweet and incessant voice, and various singing, which it is impossible to describe, and which astonishes every mind. So wonderful and marvelous is the singing of those angels, and I was delighted listening to it.
Yeah, in chapter 17, the shorter one is, in the middle of the heaven I saw armed troops worshiping God with timpani and pipes and unceasing voices. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So really, really condensed there.
See, I'll read one more chapter, and then you can read the rest.
Okay, gotcha.
They're not exactly short, 19, 20, and
That's fine.
through 22. I mean, they're short, don't get me wrong, but they're longer.
We've
than
read
that.
18 chapters today, or 17 so far. So
In less than an hour.
yeah.
Oh, it's an hour exact. Boom.
Great.
Chapter 18. The men took me on to the fifth heaven and placed me, and there I saw many and countless soldiers called Grigori.
Yeah, so Grigori here. The Greek word for watchers is not translated. There is a vast amount of lore concerning these beings, according to Biblos. Hold, I gotta try to say this word here. Sanchuniathon described the creation of, quote, some living beings who had no perception, out of whom intelligent living beings came into existence, and they were called Zophasamin, or watchers of heaven, and they were formed like the shape of an egg. First Enoch devotes a lot of attention to the fall of the watchers. Of course, we have read that before.
Yes.
So these must be hold on. So in third Enoch, the Kadessin are found in the council of the Almighty. These must be unfallen watchers. They are law enforcement officers who stand in the presence of the judge. In the book of John the Evangelist, the angels seduced by Satan are in the fifth heaven, a significant link with second Enoch.
Grigori, of human appearance, and their size was greater than that of great giants, and their faces withered, and the silence of their mouths perpetual. And there was, they used the improper version of there. And there was no service on the fifth heaven. And I said to the men who were with me, wherefore are these very withered, and their faces melancholy, and their mouths silent? And wherefore is there no service on this heaven? And they said to me, these are the Grigori, who with their prince Satanael, or Satan, rejected the Lord of light. And after them are those who are held in great darkness on the second heaven. And 3 of them went down to earth from the Lord's throne to the place Ermon, and broke through their vows on the shoulder of the hill Ermon, and saw the daughters of men, how good they are, and took to themselves wives, and befouled the earth with their deeds, who in all times of their age made lawlessness and mixing, and giants are born, and marvelous big men, and great enmity.
Yeah, so before we...
So these Grigori are indeed the watchers, though only 3 of them apparently bred with human wives, even though in first Enoch there were many more than 3 of them.
Yeah, so I want to talk about Mount Hermon, which Mount Hermon, as the scene of this wickedness probably goes back to a polemic against the cult of Baal Harmon. It probably has a reflex. Probably has a reflex in the god Haram Betel of Alphatine. Vincent, that he's a French scholar, draws attention to the motif of sexual relations between divine beings and women as a link between this cult and the use of the word Hermon in the Enoch corpus. And then he quotes something in French that I don't understand.
Sacre bleu.
It's not that.
There seems to be a bit of a pattern here where odd-numbered heavens are not places that you want to be. Like,
the first heaven was just like the sky.
So that doesn't mean anything, right? That's just the sky.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe you don't want to be there because you get fault.
Right. The third heaven really sucks.
Yeah.
The fifth heaven has...
Well, you got to remember that some of them are like divided by northern and western halves. And actually the other one, the previous one, had like That one was like east and west, wasn't it?
That one had to do with the eastern and western gates.
Right.
Right. So it's a circle, but I mean, there are east and west ones.
Yeah.
Okay. And therefore God judged them with great judgments, and they weep for their brethren, and they will be punished on the Lord's great day. And I said to the Grigori, I saw your brethren and their works and their great torments, and I prayed for them, but the Lord has condemned them to be under the earth until the existing heaven and earth shall end forever. And I said, wherefore do you wait, brethren, and do not serve before the Lord's face?
So it seems like these angels are subject to the same kind of judgment as humans.
Mm-hmm. And have not put your services before the Lord's face, lest you anger your Lord utterly. So these types of angels, their brethren, are under the earth, right? As opposed to in the heavens, like these angels. But the brethren of these angels are under the earth. So that might be an explanation of why the fallen watchers, I guess...
Oh, yeah. So, these are the
include,
unfallen watchers, yeah.
But they also did the same thing that the fallen watchers did.
Maybe.
Right? Well, it says outright that they took themselves wives of the daughters of humans and bore offspring, which is the big problem.
But they didn't teach them...
About metal.
Yeah, they didn't about metallurgy and other pagan stuff, I guess.
Maybe. But, so this isn't Sheol.
Right.
Right? There is still Sheol that is under the earth, that is a totally different place, and this overcomplicates the afterlife by a lot. Because
does it?
Previously, you would go down to Sheol and you'd hang out in whatever pit that you get thrown into, right? And there's one that's decent. But here, there are apparently people, or... there's at least an area reserved for people where it's like, woo, paradise-y. But it doesn't... Did it say that there are people who are in there already?
I don't know.
I don't think
it did. No, it just described how vast and beautiful it was.
This is just... There are just places.
Yeah, it's like an
where
under construction.
There were people being tortured, I think.
Yeah.
I know they described the tools. And I think they said that there were, people being harmed in one of the heavens.
Let me see.
Maybe the tools are just ready.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously they have those ready. They got to have them ready if they're gonna torture.
Here it says just that they were bearing angry weapons and merciless torture.
Okay, I could swear that it said that there were already people in there.
Oh, maybe. Anyways, I'll continue on. And I said, wherefore do you wait, brethren, and do not serve before the Lord's face, and have not put your services before the Lord's face, lest you anger your Lord utterly? And they listened to my admonition, and spoke to the four ranks in heaven, and lo, as I stood with those two men, four trumpets trumpeted together with a great voice, and the Grigori broke into song with one voice, and their voice went up before the Lord pitifully and affectingly. And that is the end of chapter 18. So why don't you?
You know what? We didn't actually say this at any point in the stream. If you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't. It really helps the algorithm. So just make sure to do that. It is greatly appreciated.
Yes.
All right. So chapter 19, about the taking of Enoch to the sixth heaven. And those men took me from there, and they carried me to the sixth heaven.
Thank you, Tonic.
Thank you.
For the $5 donations. Is second Enoch also in line with first Enoch about the flatness of the earth?
It seems to be.
It has the same kind of solar and lunar cycles.
Yeah. So
but it doesn't outright say anything about the shape of the earth, at least not from what we have read so far.
Yeah, but it definitely does take from First Enoch, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And those men took me from there, and they carried me up to the sixth heaven. And I saw there 7 groups of angels, brilliant and very glorious, and their faces were more radiant than the radiance of the sun. It's probably not good to look at them. And there was no difference between their faces or in their dimensions or in the style of their clothing. So they look exactly alike.
Uniform.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And these groups carry out and carefully study the movements of the stars and the revolution of the sun and the phases of the moon and the well-being of the cosmos. And when they see any evil activity, they put the commandments and instructions in order, and the sweet choral singing and every kind of glorious praise. These are the archangels who are over the angels, and they harmonize all existence, heavenly and earthly. So now we have, it says 7 groups of angels. So these aren't just 7 archangels. There are 7 groups of archangels.
What verse does it say 7 groups?
Was that in verse 1? Yeah, that was in verse 1.
7 bands of angels here.
Okay, so that would be closer to groups. But the
Maybe
shorter
there
version
would be like one archangel with like some not archangel but still angel buddies.
maybe. But also the shorter version says, and I saw there 7 angels grouped together. So that's very different.
Yeah.
So you either have 7 angels as a group, or you have 7 groups of angels.
Yeah. Which is not clear from the text.
No, it is not. And unfortunately, there's no commentary on that.
Ugh.
Very unfortunate.
Very.
That would be really interesting.
It would be.
Yeah.
Rub it in.
What?
Rub that in.
Yeah.
Come on.
So yeah, they're studying everything, and if anything goes wrong, they set it back to normal. They're like, we are here to drop the hammer of God down on you.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening.
They're God's handymen.
Pretty much. And angels who are over seasons and years, and angels who... Wait, hold on. So these are the archangels who are over the angels, and they harmonize all existence and heavenly and earthly. And angels, so are these 2 different groups here? So do we have the ones that harmonize existence? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to read it through, and then we'll try to figure it out maybe.
I'm pretty sure they're talking about the 7 different groups of angels.
Right. And angels who are over seasons and years, and angels who are over rivers and the ocean, and angels who are over the fruits of the earth and over every kind of grass, and who give every kind of food to every kind of living thing, and angels who record all human souls and all their deeds and their lives before the face of the Lord. So I'm going to see if there is some kind of commentary on that one, because that is pretty interesting, I would say. So there is not much on a good chunk of the angels, but for the ones that are writing down the deeds, I'm guessing this is like in the book of life, right? So the task of these recording angels is carried out by Enoch himself, according to 2 Enoch 43 and 2 Enoch 65:4 suggests that God himself keeps a journal of every person's activities from birth to death. These records will be produced on Judgment Day. Yeah.
So that's 5 different groups of angels, including the archangels.
Yeah. So continuing on here. Yeah, their lives before the face of the Lord. And in the midst of them are 7 phoenixes and 7 cherubim.
That's strange. I have 6 phoenixes and 6 cherubim.
Blasphemy.
So okay. That's I'm going to read the verse, and then I'll get to the commentary that I have here on this. So in the midst of them are 7 phoenixes and 7 cherubim, and 7 six-winged beings, having but one voice and singing in unison. So this is the only place in all literature where the phoenix is not... I'm not even sure what that means. I think it's in Latin. But the spelling varies, but in quite a few manuscripts. And remember, these are manuscripts. In A and U, the lack of the words and 7 makes six-winged an attribute of cherubim. Other manuscripts, long and short, make the six-winged a third group, since the six-winged are seraphim in Isaiah 6. These, although not named as such, are probably intended here. I don't know why Charles says that there were 6 of each of these. Okay, he straight up just says, I don't know why.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It does say 6 of each of them.
Right, so I guess he's just like...
Wrong.
Yeah.
He's just wrong.
He's just wrong.
All right, well,
This guy can't even figure out why. And their song is not to be reported, and the Lord is delighted by his footstool.
See, here it says it's not possible to describe their singing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Different connotation there.
Yeah, so this is that was the end of chapter 19. So let's continue to chapter...
if you're enjoying the stream so far,
Yeah,
give
yeah.
us a like and share it with your friends and family and commanding angels.
Definitely share with the commanding angels. So on to chapter 20 here.
Mm-hmm.
From there, they took Enoch into the 7th heaven. And those men lifted me up from there, and they carried me up to the 7th heaven. And I saw there an exceptionally great light, and all the fiery armies of the great archangels, and the incorporeal forces, and the dominions, and the origins, and the authorities, the cherubim, and the seraphim, and the many-eyed thrones.
The thrones and many-eyed ones. So that sounds like Ezekiel to me.
Yep. Those wheels.
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm.
And 5, or perhaps 9, or 10, in other manuscripts, and 5 regiments, and the shining Otanim stations.
This says Ionite stations of light.
The difficulties experienced... Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at the any kind of translation notes here. So the difficulties experienced by Slav scribes with these quite genuine Hebrew words are shown in the manuscripts. The worst readings are those of V and N, and P and B. So they give different versions of things that look like the same word, but except one of them is actually closer to seraphim. U, whether by accident or knowledge, is closest to the Hebrew. Opanim with Ophanipskoi, I don't know, that's Slavic definitely. It has added the Slav adjectival ending to the Hebrew plural, while A has a different variant of the same word. Yeah. So it seems like that's just a variant reading there.
What is an Ionite station of light?
I don't know what that is, but I have Otanim and...
Sci-fi teleport stand.
Dude, I have no idea.
Respawn zone.
And I was terrified, and I trembled with great fear. And those men picked me up and led me into their midst. And they said to me, "Be brave, Enoch, don't be frightened," just like they said before.
Yeah.
And they showed me the Lord from a distance, sitting on his exceedingly high throne. For what is on the 10th heaven, since the Lord is present here? And on the 10th heaven is God, and it is called in the Hebrew language Aravoth.
See, here it says, on the 10th heaven is God. In the Hebrew language, he is called Aravat.
Oh, interesting. So shorter manuscripts lack the reference to the Hebrew Aravot. Here, J is better than P's Aravatu. Here and in 22:1, since these passages are missing from R as well, they are clearly interpolations. Okay. And yes, Matthew does have a point. It does sound like Isaiah. Yeah, so that's a good question, though. So if God's here, what is possibly on the 10th heaven? But it also says that on the 10th heaven is God.
Yeah, well, No, it only says that God's in the 10th heaven.
Well, okay, so
For
he's
what is
looking,
there on the 10th heaven since the Lord dwells there?
Oh, since the Lord is present there. Okay, so he sees.
He sees the Lord from the 7th heaven.
Right, okay.
But is in the 10th heaven.
Okay, gotcha. That makes more
just
sense.
A big guy.
Yeah. Yeah, big guy, big, strong God. And all the heavenly armies came and stood on the 10 steps corresponding to their ranks, and they did obeisance to the Lord. And then they went to their places in joy and merriment and in immeasurable light, singing songs with soft and gentle voices, while presenting the liturgy to him gloriously. So wait, hold on.
So these are the angels of the presence.
Yeah. But they're presenting the liturgy to him. But he's God.
Oh, it's for fun.
But he should. Okay, I feel like that
here
would
it says
be useless
that
to him.
they're gloriously serving him, not that they're presenting liturgy.
Huh. Okay.
But the point is that
Yeah. In the shorter one, it does say gloriously serving.
they're the angels of the presence, which means that they have to perform the temple duties in heaven.
Yes.
Fun.
All right. So on to chapter 21.
Mm-hmm.
About how the angels left Enoch at the edge of the 7th heaven and departed from him invisibly. So this one is just like they're just leaving you now. Yeah.
Yeah, like see you later, dude. Have fun.
You're stuck here now. And they do not leave by night nor depart by day, standing in front of the face of the Lord and carrying out his will. Cherubim and seraphim standing all around his throne, 6-winged and many-eyed, and they cover his entire throne, singing with gentle voice in the front of the face of the Lord. Holy, holy, holy Lord Sabaoth! Heaven and earth are full of his glory. And when I had seen all these things, those men said to me, Enoch, up to this point, we have been commanded to travel with you. And the men went away from me. and from then on, I did not see them anymore.
So they're just like, we were commanded to travel with you up to this point.
See ya.
They just walked away.
And then they just walk away. I guess they just really don't like Enoch.
I guess not. They
They're
don't
like-
even want to stay in chat. They don't have time to stay in chat. They got to worship.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, this is our floor. You can keep going up the elevator if you want.
Yeah, right. But I remained alone at the edge of the 7th heaven, and I became terrified, and I fell on my face, and I said to myself, woe to me, what has happened to me? That's a very good question. You're stuck in heaven now. And the Lord sent one of his glorious ones, the archangel Gabriel, and he said to me, be brave, Enoch. Don't be frightened. Stand up and come with me and stand in front of the face of the Lord forever. Oh, my God. That does not sound pleasant, actually.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
Actually.
And I answered him and said, woe to me, my Lord. My soul has departed from me from fear and horror. And call to me the 2 men who brought me to this place, because I have put my confidence in them. And with them I will go before the face of the Lord. And Gabriel carried me up like a leaf carried up by the wind. He moved me along and put me down in front of the face of the Lord. And I saw the 8th heaven, which is called in the Hebrew language Muzalot, the changer of the seasons, of dry and of wet. And the 12 zodiacs,
The 12 constellations of the circle of the firmament.
yeah, which are above the 7th heaven. And I saw the 9th heaven, which in the Hebrew language is called Kukavim, where the heavenly houses of the 12 zodiacs are. So let's take a look at maybe some of these names.
So this is a very brief description for both the 8th and the 9th heaven.
Yeah, much shorter than the other one. He literally just describes. Okay, so he describes what they're there for, and he gives you their name. But there's not much more than that.
And that's all they are. Also, I like how God's in the 10th heaven, which definitely puts him above the zodiac, which means that he's more powerful than
Right.
astrologers.
Right. So I'm kind of looking for some of like just anything on these names. There is sadly not, but I'm sure we can find that at some point.
They might just be names.
Probably, maybe, yeah. I'm sure they mean something, right? Because these names that you would give to heavens, to different layers of heaven, they gotta mean something.
Yeah.
If they're just like, this is gonna be my seventh heaven, and I'm gonna call it Christopher Shea Couric.
Why would you do this to me?
It's just a name, man. It doesn't mean anything.
I was the only thing named that before. You stealer.
All right, so gonna
the eighth heaven, Muzaloth.
Yes, the changer of seasons. Is that just what it means? I don't think so. Of dry and of wet. Okay, so this has to. I'm guessing this was just align with the season stuff that we had before, right?
Yeah, it's just, it says, from a macrocosm perspective, the eighth heaven may control the dynamics for all planetary seasons, not just Earth's. The Earth witnesses seasons by its orbital revolution around the sun, passing each constellation every month. From the Earth's perspective, these constellations seem fixed in the sky. However, in the dynamics of the universe, everything is moving. A common pattern of movement for all celestial bodies is celestial rotation, and most orbital bodies rotate on an axial tilt. Even the galaxies rotate on a galaxy rotation curve. The eighth heaven could be interpreted as the universe's engine room, in control of the entire orbital construct, right down to the microcosm, as studied in molecular orbital theory.
Okay, well, I definitely don't think that they were talking about molecular orbital theory or
that's
other
some
planets.
Intense stuff. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Enoch is always so ahead of his time.
Of course, yes.
Man.
Yeah.
Molecular orbital
theory.
How else would we know about molecular orbital theory if it weren't for Enoch?
Of course.
You're right.
Oh my God. All right, so they have these names, right? So on to the final chapter for the day. Chapter 22.
Chapter 22.
In the 10th heaven, the archangel Michael brought Enoch in front of the face of the Lord. So wait, hold on. So, okay, so wait. So he went up with two angels, and they
It doesn't say that in here, by the way.
No, he initially went up with two angels, but...
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about Michael here.
Oh, right. This is from the introductory portion, because in some manuscripts, there's an introduction to each chapter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the introduction. So he goes up with two angels, and then they just kind of leave him behind. And then he's like, well, this sucks. And then Gabriel's all like, hey, calm down. Come with me. I'll take you to God. And he's like, he goes up with them. They fly through these other heavens. And then once they get to the 10th heaven, Michael's like, hey, get out of here, Gabriel. I'm going to fucking take this guy to God. He's mine. I'm going to fucking show him off. I want to introduce him. So I guess that's what's happening here. And on the 10th heaven, Aravoth, I saw the view of the face of the Lord, like iron made burning hot in a fire and brought out, and it emits sparks and is incandescent.
God is a robot. Bionicle is right.
Oh, man.
No,
Big O is right.
It's like in the end of Bionicle when they reactivate Matanui from inside of Metro Nui, and then he rises up from underneath the ground.
There go all of our viewers. No one knows what this is.
Everyone knows about Bionicle.
Also, one thing here,
Everyone. It was arguably the most successful Lego product of all time.
Sure.
What, really? You'd say so?
Yeah, it like carried Lego throughout at least from the first few generations.
So it
of
wasn't
Bionicle.
Legos, it was Bionicles.
Bionicle is the shit, man.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool, right? Like
Everyone did like them that I knew.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But Legos were also really cool.
Yeah, but see, Bionicle they capitalized on the collectathon thing because they printed off different color renditions of each of the masks for the characters.
Uh-huh.
And then you would be able to buy like a booster pack
Right.
of masks, and You know, people
He's
would
right.
go out of their way to collect all of the
I
masks.
guess,
So
yeah,
it
that is
made
true.
a
I
shitload of money.
still may have a golden mask somewhere from doing one of the collectathons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. Whenever you sell something and like kind of say it's a collection, like Beanie Babies, like I guess, the value is really high, but then it all just drops.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about it anymore.
Depends on fad stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I was a subscriber to Lego Magazine
Were you?
back in the
Wow.
day, and Lego Magazine used to send off every single time a magazine would come in. It would be equipped with a comic book of the Bionicle series.
Right.
So, by far, the most advertised of all Lego products as well.
Also, I don't know how many Lego movies there were before the Bionicles.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Think about what kicked off those Lego movies.
There
And
were,
those
like-
Lego games. There weren't even many Lego games until
Yeah,
the Bionicle
there was,
games.
like,
True, yeah.
Lego
so it's
Islands.
sort of their like transition to being a big IP instead of a small IP.
I guess.
Yeah, but there were there were books, there were comic books, there were
Websites and games. yeah.
websites, video games, even console video games. There were a bunch of movies. Everybody knows about Bionicle. If you don't,
You know, I had completely forgotten about Bionicle until today.
oh man, we should consume all Bionicle media.
oh my God, no.
Well, I guess you and I will get on that, Ruben.
Look, see, the Toa, they're in these pods, right? And the pods wash onto the shore. But
This doesn't sound like the 10th heaven to me.
trust me,
Let's finish up.
Matanui is closer to heaven than the 10th heaven is.
All right. Where even the hell was I? Right. So his face, it emits sparks and is incandescent. Thus, even I saw the face of the Lord. But the face of the Lord is not to be talked about. It is so he just talked about it.
He just talked about it.
Like he just did. It is so very marvelous and supremely awesome and supremely frightening. And who am I to give an account of the incomprehensible being of the Lord and his face, so extremely strange and indescribable? And how many of his commands and his multiple voice and the Lord's throne, supremely great and not made by hands, and the choir stalls all around him, the cherubim and the seraphim armies, and their never silent singing. Who can give an account of his beautiful appearance, never changing and indescribable, and his great glory? And I fell down flat and did obeisance to the Lord. And the Lord, with his own mouth, actual words of the Lord here, the word, with his own mouth, said to me, "Be brave, Enoch. Don't be frightened. Stand up and stand in front of my face forever." And Michael, the Lord's...
This sounds like a horrible heaven. You just stand in front of God's face forever.
Okay, so this is a weird word. And Michael, the Lord's archistrateg, lifted me up and brought me in front of the face of the Lord.
Archistratege.
Yeah, what a strange one.
Let's see.
Michael's military functions are anciently attested. Okay, so I'm guessing he's like his lead commander. Because you have like Archangel would be like the top
It's
dog, right?
a combination
Of strategos, which is general, I think.
Yeah. So it means chief, first, or primary general.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I figured. I don't know why you'd ever choose that word, but okay, Charlesworth. Fucking pompous dick. Just kidding.
Does
Jokes.
it in here too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pompous dicks. Jokes, everyone. Jokes. We kid here. Lifted me up and brought me in front of the face of the Lord. And the Lord said to his servants, sounding them out, "Let Enoch join in and stand in front of my face forever." And the Lord's glorious ones did obeisance and said, "Let Enoch yield in accordance with your word, O Lord." And the Lord said to Michael, "Go and extract Enoch from his earthly clothing and anoint him with my delightful oil and put him into the clothes of my glory. And so Michael did, just as the Lord had said to him. He anointed me, and he clothed me, and the appearance of that oil is greater than the greatest light, and the ointment is like sweet dew and fragrant, and its fragrance myrrh. And it is like the rays of the glittering sun. And I looked at myself, and I had become like one of his glorious ones, and there was no observable difference. So he has become an angel.
An archangel.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's no observable difference between him and an angel.
Yeah. So he has been transformed into an angel. And the Lord summoned one of his archangels, Vrivoil by name. I've never heard of that one.
The Lord summoned one of his archangels by name Pravuel.
Okay, so I'm going to look at a footnote here somewhere. So P's reading, Praveil, is deviant. The other numerous variations in spelling are not material. The name is otherwise unknown and remains unexplained. As an archangel, he resembles Uriel, and the names are not unlike. As the scholar archangel is Vrivoil modeled upon Thoth or Hermes or Mercury. Okay, so yeah, he's questioning whether or not it's based on like some other kind of god.
Well,
according
it says
to
here, well, I mean, you'll read the bit that describes him in the chapter itself.
Oh yeah.
Right?
According to Diodorus, okay, yeah, that's fine.
This is my boy Hermes Trismegistus here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, who was swifter in wisdom than the other archangels, and who records all the Lord's deeds. And the Lord said to Vrivoil, "Bring out the books from my storehouses, and fetch a pen for speed writing, and give it to Enoch, and read him the books." And Vrivoil hurried and brought me the book, a knife and ink. I like so in the translation they just have question marks next to knife and ink.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me the pen for speed writing from his hand. So this is God's scribe, it seems.
Yeah. Well, so it is like
which would make
Thoth and Hermes
exactly
insofar as like it's a god of wisdom and writing.
Yes. So Thoth is very close to that.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Thoth? He missed out today.
Yeah, right. He wouldn't really like this.
Like he's in the story, which means that he's already here.
Ah, okay.
Right.
But here
right.
he's called Pravul or Vrivoil or like whatever.
Yeah, right. But that is the end of of chapter 22, and that's the end of the reading for the day.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the stream today, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, neighbors. Check us out on our Amazon wish list, where you can buy books to add to this table so that we can read more to you every week.
Yeah.
Twice a week.
Because that's what we do. We do that here.
Also, check us out on Patreon.
Yeah, and because Nightbot isn't very active right now, all links are in the description. And if you want to become a supporter on Patreon, you can get access to all of our video scripts. You can win T-shirts. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And speaking of T-shirts, yeah, let's do the newest one. If you can find that somewhere, I'm sure it is.
It's somewhere.
Maybe at the bottom now.
Somewhere
yeah, he is
there.
risen. There it is.
He is risen. That's one of our T-shirts. You can either get that through a raffle giveaway thing that we do once a month, or you can buy yourself a copy. It's right there. The link is there. You can click on it. You can pay money and buy it.
Yeah, all links are in the description.
Yep.
Very top quality.
And also, we got Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, free to follow us on those platforms. Absolutely free.
Yeah, until they give us an option to make you pay for it to follow us on Twitter.
I wouldn't do that.
Oh no,
that sounds like a bad idea.
How about we charge them like
it sounds like a bad idea. We're
10 cents per tweet.
Oh my god, horrible
to
idea.
View our tweets.
Okay, so I'm not listening to Ruben.
Yet.
That one. Yeah, yet. But eventually, I guess I might come to the realization that Ruben was correct this whole time.
Yeah, you know, the...
what are you thinking of Second Enoch so far?
Dope.
Second Enoch
Pretty cool, yeah.
Well, minus all of the astronomical book stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We figured out all the details about the 10 heavens.
Except for those two.
Those
Aren't very well
they don't
described.
matter.
Like,
Yeah, they don't matter. Apparently,
this is some zodiac stuff, and these are where some zodiac guys live.
apparently, those two heavens are left out in some manuscripts.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised as to why.
Yeah,
So there's
little-
8 heavens.
Maybe.
right.
Beca-
Or sometimes just cut down to 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
where God's just in the 7th heaven, I guess.
yeah.
So oddly enough, the only heavens that get named.
right. So that's a thing. So I guess it could be either way. It could be an expansion, could be the condensation, could be something like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell with these because we don't exactly have the best manuscript evidence,
No, we don't.
No.
And it's like some Russian shit.
which I mean, like I can read the Russian shit, but like Slavonic is not Russian.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a tough call for some of these. Not a lot of work has been done. Oh, right. We tried to get a second Enoch scholar.
We tried.
Yeah, on the
But
show.
That second Enoch scholar was afraid of all you people.
He didn't say that. He just said he didn't do online.
The only reason
He
that
said
people don't do online stuff is because they don't want to be held accountable for the words that come out of their mouth because they'll be on recording, accessible by anyone forever.
But okay, so there's he's written plenty of papers, and
But they're like probably a lot of them are behind a paywall.
I mean, for me, no, because I just go through the school.
Well, not for you. But
Yeah, if you use the school account, then yeah, it's not behind a paywall. But yeah, it may be behind a paywall. I don't know.
Yeah, see, you can get away with writing whatever you want in a paper because no one's gonna read your paper. Like, be honest, man.
Yeah, on the okay. So yeah, at the end of this, we're gonna get like a Melchizedek thing. So we're back to that priest guy. And he wrote papers on that. He wrote papers on like the theology of it. So I mean, I'm gonna be reading through them for the rest of this book, right?
But he was not cool enough to show up,
Right.
Oh, well.
and we'll hold it against him forever.
I'm not, but you can do that.
Ruben loves
I
doing
will.
that.
It would have been cool to have him on the show.
I don't even know his name. But
Andrei Orlov or something.
Let's not.
I think.
well, Andre, you should have been on the show.
It would have been nice.
Now,
But
now you just have an arch nemesis
You-
in Lawrence.
No, that's not
Lawrence
accurate.
is your arch nemesis.
Wow. All right.
Lawrence is a biblical scholar,
just being
just
thrown
like
under the
you,
bus here as
of
an arch
the
nemesis.
same level of knowledge and
Uh-huh.
ability.
Okay then.
And he will chase you to the ends
I-
of the earth.
So now you're just threatening people.
No, I didn't
Jason's not
say
fair.
you were gonna like attack him.
You said chase
I
him to
just
the
said
ends of the earth.
Chase.
Okay, whatever. Either way,
I caught you.
thanks
Now
everyone.
what? Nothing.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Besides, you're the one threatening people. You're the one chasing them
Shut-
to the ends of the
shut the
earth.
fuck up.
Lawrence.
Thanks everyone for joining us. I did find this book pretty enjoyable so far, aside from all the astronomical stuff.
Yeah.
So all the links to everything they're all in the description. You can just check that out. It's good fun. We do this show. We do this show once a week, then we do the other show also once a week. So a total of twice a week we're here. And until next time,
We will see you on Sunday and then Friday. And then Sunday. On
because
Sunday we're doing
first
Hosea.
we got the Bible and then
Yeah.
the Friday